Okay, welcome back. This is review part 2. So we did our text. The other thing we did was we added pictures. So about right now, I'm going to fade in. I'm going to import a couple pictures from the class. So I did a command I or a file import, and I have these different pictures I can use. Okay, so I'm going to drop this picture in on top. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to open up the arrow, transform, scale. I'm going to say 50%. I'm going to go a little bit more than that. I'm going to go 40%. And I'm going to bring it down because I want it to be under Metropolitan Community College. So actually, let's go to about 30% on that. And I want it to be about here. Okay, so I'm going to opacity. We can do the same thing to this that we did with the text. So I'm going to open up my Metropolitan Community College, and I want to take this. I'm going to make this a little, I'm going to take this to 50% so I can see what I'm doing. And on my position, and just so this is easier to see when things happen, I'm going to slowly move this up as that fades out. So click Shift Drag, and I'm going to scale it at the same time. So I'm going to scale, and I'm going to take it to about 75%, and kind of center it on the screen. Okay. So if I watch this, and then from there, I'm going to copy this move. So I'm going to go bring my next picture in. I'm going to bring Sammy in. And what I want this next one to do, I want it to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to grab these. I'm going to Command C them. I'm going to click on Sammy's layer and hit Command V, and watch what happens. And I'm going to let it go a little bit so it isn't so quick so we can establish the first one. I'm going to go a little bit further on that. So you got the idea of copying and pasting, and then you kind of get the exact same thing. I'm going to actually make these go a little slower by moving out their time. And let's see what it does. Okay, and we could keep going from there. So that's kind of where we're at this point. So I want to fade both of these out at this point. So with this one, I can split this layer by going Edit, Split Layer. I'm going to get rid of this one because I mean, we don't see it once Sammy's up and over it. So then with Sammy's layer, I'm going to, after a little bit, fade it out. So I'm going to opacity it, and then I'm going to go over a little bit and fade it. Actually, I'm going to rotate it off. So I'm not going to worry about that opacity I just did. I'm going to do a rotation, and I'm going to rotate it off. I'm going to put a motion blur on that layer. And I'm going to do 10 rotations, and I'm going to scale it off at the same time. So while it's rotating, I want it to scale to 0. And notice we're at 719. So what I want to do is make this an 8-second finished project. So it's all done. So I'm going to go to Composition, Composition Settings. I'm going to change this to 8 seconds. And I'm going to say OK. So now when I export, it'll only be 8 seconds. Okay, so I got my finished little project here. I can play it with my space bar. And remember, this isn't going to be real time. If you see the green on top, that's pretty close to real time. Okay, so to export this, remember I'm going to use Media Encoder because I want to do this at H.264. So I'm going to go File, I'm going to go Export, I'm going to add render, or I'm going to add to Adobe Media Encoder. And it takes a minute for this to go. So I'm being patient with it. So remember, you can use what you learn here to put in your first assignment, the About You. This should go a lot faster because I did this a little bit earlier and it's already been opened. But it's still not the snappiest thing you've ever seen. And when an encoder pops up, it'll take it another minute to get over here. And you can send a bunch of things. So like if you're ever working a job and you have 2 hours of rendering, people do not want to see you sitting at your desk playing with your phone while things are rendering. You would set up these render queues at the end of the night before you leave, and then they'll be done when you come back at the end of the day. So when this is ready, this is going to pop up right here. And you got to be a little bit patient with it. And the only thing you have to do, it'll be a default H.264, which there it is. You can choose different things under there. Keep it at high bit rate, and then we can change the name of it, and we're going to call it rendered movie, and we're going to put it back on our desktop in our work folder. So there's my DME Spring folder, and I'm going to say new folder and call renders and create and save. And then when I hit the play button, it will build the movie. So then you can go into the folder and find your movie.